Is there a counterinsurgency operation going on along with all of this thing,
yes.
by the way? Is it a counterinsurgency operation?
Yes, it is.
Because the rule book has been thrown out the window. The famous General Petraeus field manual has been thrown out the window.
No, it hasn't been thrown out the window.
You have a fixed time frame. You don't have the troops necessary, the 1:50 ratio of service personnel to population. And you don't have a credible central government. Without any of those things, theoretically, you cannot wage a counterinsurgency.
We don't have a fixed time frame. There's no fixed time.
But troops will start coming home in 2011.
Yeah, but starting is not a withdrawal. It doesn't mean we're gone.
So it's not a cliff. Yeah, but a counterinsurgency is very clear. It's an unlimited time frame.
And General McChrystal's position basically is he needs to turn this thing around in the next 18 to 24 months. Period.
Unlimited time frame, the counterinsurgency manual says.
Or it can't be, first of all. Secondly, the mathematical formula is a guide where we have
you need 600,000 troops.
Where we have the forces and where he's focused on the population centers, we're going to have enough forces in the key population centers.
Is there such a thing as a limited counterinsurgency? How can surely it's either counterinsurgency or it's not.
It doesn't require a force ratio to be distributed across the entire country of Afghanistan.
If the major goal is to prevent Al-Qaeda from having a safe haven in Afghanistan, you're in the cities and in the south and the east. Why don't they just have a safe haven in the rural areas in the north and the west?
Well, there'll be actually, there's a considerable amount of coalition effort with respect to that challenge in the north and actually in the west as well.
But in the rural
we don't
areas?
consider it.
So they won't be limited to the cities.
No, but we there are two things about the rural areas. We don't think that that's the kind of place that a safe haven would be able to sustain itself. One, two, and we'll have
Al-Qaeda sustains itself in the rugged mountains of.
No, but we'll have counterterrorism forces that we think will be able to disrupt that, which is part of the counterinsurgency approach.
But the other major challenge then is forming an Afghan military. And I know the figure is always 95,000 troops. You may be aware Al Jazeera did an investigation, and that the number of combat troops is probably as low as 35,000 troops currently. You have a goal, though, of 170,000 in 18 months. Again, what's the motivation there? Is that going to be money again? I mean, you've actually already, you and your colleagues on Capitol Hill did mention that the Taliban gets more money than the Afghan National Army. So that clearly then that is a matter of money. It's not going to be civic pride. It's about getting them on board.
Well, I think that's part of it, clearly. I think it's, but one is you've got to, I think, create a reasonably secure environment in which they can be recruited, trained, equipped, and function. Secondly, you've got to partner with them. A really significant shift in how General McChrystal has approached this from his predecessors is to partner with them.
Right. So okay, let's assume that's worked, though. So now it's perhaps no longer a matter of money, because actually on a parallel track, you have now managed to create some form of local and central governance. Once that army is created, is Hamid Karzai the commander-in-chief?
He is a commander-in-chief.
So he has full control over that central military?
Yes.
And you also are going to be pairing that with regional militias.
And local.
And the local governors will have
local militias.
And so what do you expect them to be doing exactly?
In terms of
once Hamid Karzai is the commander-in-chief and the local governors have control over their militias, what
to
are they
be
doing?
able to internally secure their country.
You're really going to cede control to the Afghan central government and local governors over this newly armed to the teeth bunch of soldiers and militiamen.
Well, I look at it as possibilities that they could actually develop in a way to provide for their own security and stabilize their own country and make sure Al-Qaeda can't return and the Taliban can't take the place over again.
Pakistan, we've had very little detail on that, but you do wonder though whether one of the reasons why you're so confident in being able to put some sort of time frame. Again, we don't quite understand what this idea of withdrawal mean. It may be a symbol, it might be a way to push Hamid Karzai, is because you're aware, though, that the real danger is in Pakistan. Some have suggested this is that kind of Vietnamization strategy of paying lip service, certainly to kind of building a functioning Afghan state, but then certainly building up the covert bombardment of Pakistan. The covert bombardment of Pakistan. Might that not be the case? Might that not be a good strategy?
Part of this, and it may not have been talked about publicly much, but a great deal of our deliberations focused on a relationship with Pakistan, which I believe is critical long term as well. They've had some significant radical Islamic challenges with their own Taliban, lost a lot of citizens, and they have nuclear weapons. So stabilizing, making sure that country's stable is absolutely critical. That's why a regional approach here is so important, as is our long-term relationship.
What about the covert bombing, though, in Pakistan?
Well, I don't talk about
but everyone knows
the kinds of operations that we're undertaking.
It is happening.
Well, again, I'm just not going to talk about it.
Right. That's it. But you know, everyone knows.
Actually, I mean, the operations I'm pretty comfortable talking about are the significant steps that the Pakistani military has taken, particularly over the last year in Swat and South Waziristan.
But it's key. I mean, there's, in some ways, you wonder whether some people complain that this might not be legal, but clearly, though, the U.S. and the Pakistani military are cooperating with drone attacks and so forth.
The whole idea, the whole high-level strategic approach here is to put pressure on them coming from Afghanistan and pressure in support of the Pakistani military inside that sovereign country.
Yeah, I mean, sovereignty because the military is actually cooperating fully with the United States. So as long as they invite you in, you're fine, right? So,
it's a sovereign country. We respect that greatly.
You mentioned a regional, finally, because I know we're running out of time. You mentioned a regional strategy. Does this mean a grand bargain with Pakistan to say, allow us access to bomb your border regions? We will help you with Kashmir. We will help you with India. We will help you on various other strategic matters.
I think we continue working with Pakistan to, in support. Pakistan looks at us. We've left them 3 previous times, and they wondered, actually not unlike Afghanistan, if we're going to abandon them again. But it's the relationship
and a regional solution there is key. That's the lesson from history.
I think
that means Kashmir basically is the nexus that you've identified, which is perhaps the key to this.
I think that the nexus of extremism is in that border between Afghanistan and Pakistan. The Kashmir issue is a significant issue as well, and regional goes further than just Pakistan and Afghanistan, because I think India is very much included in this as well.